Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Hand of Fate 2. So, we failed, I think, on the last mission. Really just not sure how I would really pull that one off and make it entertaining. The last mission had you going to 2 or 3 locations on the map multiple times trying to build up and reinforce a fort. And it feels like there's probably a lot of cards specifically that I'm missing to pull that off. So we're skipping over to the Hangman. The North is invading the Empire and the Imperial Army is nowhere to be seen. Keep ahead of the Northern Horde as it sweeps towards the capital, evacuating as many villagers as you can. And so I've picked some cards. We're really running rather low on cards that are labeled as new. We still have a decent number of cards that would unlock a reward of some sort. But yeah. It does feel like you have a inadequate chance to get equipment in each of these missions. And I think that probably should have been addressed. It kind of feels like the first game it was easier to get equipment, and it was just kind of easier to not really care if you didn't get equipment, whereas in this case it feels like you need to upgrade your equipment pretty well. And there's a lot of game left here, and we've already put a lot of time into this game.
Is it not?
So my question really will come down to just how much extra gameplay will I want to play after doing the missions.
Must be filled with barbarians. Or perhaps it is the other way around. Perhaps the noble northerners have a true connection to the land, and the Empire is lost.
It might be a case where the Enlist mode is much closer to what the first game is, and that the Enlist mode is the real way to play. But the game has not really done anything to push me to play Enlist mode, and we have no idea what the challenge modes are. The northern tribes have gathered and are preparing to invade the Empire, Estrella exclaims as they burst into the tavern. The main forces of the Imperial Army is widely known to be away in the southeast, seeking to bring new countries under the heel of the Empire. There are dozens of smaller villages all throughout this region. They are protected by Empire forts that sit on all of the major trade routes, but those won't be able to hold out long without reinforcements. We have to assume that the Empire won't respond in time. Hundreds of innocent people are in great danger. The Empire is run by a corrupt, bloodthirsty lunatic, Estrella declares, but his people don't deserve this fate. We have to warn them. So, you have like 4 Horde cards on the far right. We're supposed to save 10 villages, and there's a 5 village loss limit. I know of several local villages, but there are many more I've never visited. Okay, so we know what 2 of them are. It's kind of funny, my marker is not on... it's not on a card. Now it is. I guess that was the card we were reading. Okay, so we'll just play through this and see what happens.
There are few who would give you aid easily, but there may be some who would set their forces against the same enemies.
In the woodlands fall from civilization, you are ambushed by a band of elvish warriors. For what purpose do you dare trespass within our kingdom? One demands as a dozen arrows point at you from all directions. You warn the elf of an advancing northern army and suggest they flee to safety. All humans, the elf warriors say with a smirk, we already know about your rampaging kin, and there's no safer ground than our own home. Have no fear. The men you call northerners have known better to enter our forest. To do so would be their own doom. The elf remarks matter-of-factly, if you have no further business, then it's time for you to leave. Plead for help against the northerners. Alright. So we have a wheel here. Success. Didn't look like there was a huge success there. Elf warrior looks conflicted, saying, we do not wish to involve ourselves in your way, but your intentions do seem noble. We will not attack the humans, but we may use our influence to delay them. I shall speak of this to our queen. Do not seek to find us again, the elf says. In parting, we gain 2 fame. Alright, well.
You have saved some, but there is more yet to be done.
So that's our escape area. Interesting. The province border. And I imagine the layout of these cards is going to be the same every time.
Life goes on in these small towns.
You see a peaceful village off the main trail. Visit the village. A few farmers look at you with curiosity as you enter the small village. Should we visit the town store, or should we warn the northerners? Let's see if we can do both. We'll warn the townsfolk first. You address a gathering of local peasants at the mill around the village well. To leave their crops seems like madness, but you try to convince them to flee the area. Well, see, if I'd gone to the store, despite your warnings, the people refused to abandon their land. I sold a brace of cutlass to the soldiers at the fort just last week. Round-faced man declared they'll be here in less than a day if northerners try anything. So we can't go to the store either. Interesting.
The Empire presents strength, yet abandons their outpost at the first sign of trouble. Corruption has left them hollow inside.
Your path leads you past the remote Empire fort overlooking well-worn road. As you approach, a large band of soldiers exits the fort and heads in your direction. Surprisingly, however, they pay you no attention other than to shove you out of the way of their supply wagon. The captain is in no mood to talk as he hurries his men south toward the capital, away from the northern mountains. So I guess the fort stands completely silent. Its heavy wooden doors left open. Inspect the fort. Why do I need a dice roll to inspect the fort? That seems a little extreme. Alright. We failed inspecting a fort. The entire fort is deserted. You find nothing of value. Well. Interesting. So we now have devastation cards being placed wherever these characters go. Let's try the town store. Then you can warn them. And we don't need to read the dialogue again. It's getting worse, however, the odds. People disperse to gather what they can before abandoning the village. The village has been saved. We gain 2 fame. And so these guys are just moving forward. Maybe on dice rolls, maybe on something else. So I would imagine what the move here is to save 2 villages and just flee. And we may have to just do this on 5 different levels, because I'm not sure that there are any more villages to the right here at all. And the Empire Fort, had it succeeded, maybe that would have taken out one of these moving characters. Maybe we have to just do this 4 times on 4 different levels.
Good luck taking this token from me.
A pale of smog casts the city in dull gray light as you navigate the narrow streets and back alleys of Iron Peak. We've been doing Iron Peak many times now. Let's visit the marketplace. The Iron Peak marketplace is large enough to house many stalls. As you wander through, you note many are vacant. Few people choose the risk of shopping in such a public place these days, and those that do never linger for long. In a quiet corner of the marketplace, you find a desperate man attempting to sell an unusual assortment of oddities. Let's go ahead and see if we can buy a map. The map reveals a little about the countryside surrounding the town of Iron Peak. As you turn to ask how much gold you owe, a supernatural chill travels up your arm and freezes your heart. Lose 3 fame each time you starve. Interesting. Sorry, stranger, the stall owner says, suddenly packing up the rest of his wares, but I stole these from a particularly vengeful warlock, and his magic prevents me from just throwing them away. Good luck with that one. The man kicks the table over and flees down the back alley. You lose sight of him in the gloom and decide to abandon the godforsaken town. So that is the end of Iron Peak, and Iron Peak is such a complicated card that I just don't think I would really ever pick it if I was just picking cards. It also kind of feels like a DLC card that's too complicated, or maybe it was just an experiment on making too much of a card. Although I would really like to see where the Prince of Poison's storyline would end, but I'm not sure if that's Iron Peak or if that's Kedela, the accomplice. Wow, it got oddly silent there. The music's not playing. I wonder if the music crashed in the engine, or if that's intentional. It is a very different feeling here to just hear silence while you're playing instead of hearing the music playing. Yeah, I've never noticed the music pausing for even a small amount of time to start playing again. Many game engines do run their music in multiple threads separate from the rest of the game, so they can very easily crash, even though they really shouldn't, and then they might even silently start back up without anybody noticing that. I feel like that was intentional though, just an intentional pause in the audio. The town is quiet as you walk the paths with mothers hushing their children and dragging them inside. A pair of watchful farmers stop talking as you approach and give a brief greeting. We don't have many strangers visit our village, one of the pair says plainly, but you may speak with our elder if you wish. You are led to a small hut on the outskirts of the village. Inside is a disheveled old man with a single wild eye, sits cross-legged on the floor, humming a strange tune to himself. I'm trying to read these dialogues a little bit faster, and I'm screwing up the faster I try to read them, as I'm just trying to get further through these missions quickly. Seems like we could ask something else, but I think in this case it's probably better just to explain the northerners are approaching. The mystic peers at you with a single wild eye as you tell the terror about to overrun them. The gods will show us. Though well, the old man yells, leaping up and pointing to a bird in a nearby tree. If the raven flies north or south, the village should flee. East or west, and we must remain. With a wild cry, the old man throws a stone at the bird. Wow. So just dice rolls. Notice how the dice just bounced off the statue. There. So we failed. The bird flies to the west away from the old man and his stones. We stay, the mystic declares, and returns to his hut. The farmers wander away saying the gods will protect us. Okay. It seems like everything is moving forward. So, let's just leave. I mean, we tried, we failed. Continue to the next level. You hear word from the traders on the road south that the village has been overrun by the advancing northerners. Okay, so that was one round. And there's just going to be multiples of these.
Create what you please, but never of your own abilities. Always with the artifacts crafted and created by your betters.
You enter a workshop of the enchanter. He specializes in adding magical powers to items, especially those that bring health and fortune to the adventurers. I can enchant one of your items, be one with any existing enchantments will be. Lost gold enchantment. The enchanter inspects your equipment and asks you to choose from those pieces that are suitable for gold enchantment. We'll do the buckler. Okay. So now we have a stronger shield. We haven't even done a single fight, and I'm not sure we really are going to do a fight. It is done, the enchanter declares, handing over the equipment. Equipment traits do not match the current challenge. Interesting. Nothing seems to really affect nothing really seems to affect the movement of the northerners though. So pause now if you want to read this. This was to get this reward we needed the potion of youth. We didn't find the potion of youth, so I don't think we can go back to that card. Visit the village. There's a festival being held in the village. The morale of the people is high as they sing and dance and compete in games of skill. Let's see. Tell tales of your adventure. You pick a shady spot and gain the attention of the crowd. Yep. The crowd grows restless and soon begins to drift away. I'm wondering if winning these little side things may increase the odds of getting the villagers to leave. You're handed a small axe and directed to throw it at a wooden circular target. I wonder if also this isn't more of a case where this is the only place that they knew you were going to interact, so they wanted to make cards that had two or three things going on with them. I don't find these pendulum deals that difficult. Yet to target dead center, the crowd cheers and a young lady with flowers in her hair presents you with a prize. You gain 2 fame.
To use this, you will need fame.
Okay, and we have Scorched Blade, which doesn't have enough fame.
Show your worth through action.
We do apparently have enough fame now. So now we're going to warn the townsfolk. The townsfolk are skeptical of your claims. You weren't so worried about the barbarians when you got here, notes the old man in the crowd. Whoops. There's a festival being held in the village. The morale of the people seem high. Leave the festivities back and set on the road. So I made a mistake there. And all I can hope is that the village is here, and it probably isn't. We can investigate what these cards do, even though we're probably going to lose here. And I'm buying all this food, and none of it seems to matter. Alright, so we have a couple of problems here. Either we take on this fight and see if we can take out one of these, or we lose 2 villages and then it's pretty much just going to be game over.
Now you will clash and we will see who survives.
You approach a band of northern raiders, fight the marauders. So maybe if we did just fight them and got rid of them, that would set them back or save the day in some way. At the very least, it brings this gameplay mechanic into play instead of making this a very boring tabletop experience. Which I wouldn't call it boring if it was always a tabletop experience and that was what I was just expecting, but the fact that they did introduce this action hack and slash mechanic in the fight mechanic makes me actually want to use it every now and then. Scorchblade, the Inquisition tortured Iquia for black magic before burning him at the stake. His sword survived, and some say he still dwells within.
Together, advance! On my mark!
So we're supposed to use our ability. One of the weird things about this is certainly that it just doesn't feel like there is a actual defense button. These guys want to hit twice. I survived that barely, but my companion seems to be completely knocked down. So this may be the first time we've ever seen a companion completely lowered in health. Perhaps by your actions here you've saved the lives of an innocent Empire citizens. You gain 4 fame.
In my youth, I used to climb. There is little better than the wind in your hair and the thought of death.
High in the mountains you approach a rickety bridge. It sways over even the slightest breeze. I guess we crossed this, but that means there was no village here. The bridge creaks and sways with every step. The chance card Gambit is affected by your armor's weight. Do our armor have weight? I guess they have light, heavy, and as far as what they come in. Luckily the bridge holds. You scramble to the other side. Well, I'm confused because now what? You just go to devastation? That did nothing for us. So unless I was going to go and try and fight for the peaceful village, I don't think there's anything really here that can be done. I could sell like a golden shield for 50. And then I could buy this ring, which would do nothing for me. Yeah. This feels like I'm just wasting time, though. I guess what we should try this again and see how that works. That maybe we'll save a village if we fight the horde when it's standing on the village. Then maybe you won't have to jump through the hoops of figuring out the right moves. Getting equipment in this mission seems almost pointless. You have the golden shield. It seems almost a shame to bring such a pretty piece to the battlefield, yet with perhaps a patina of wear would improve it. It's already high value. So the golden shield is the shield that we modified, and almost certainly when we modified it to be a golden item, we should have just sold it for money.
To arms!
Got a finisher. Seems like we rarely get the opportunity to do finishers. So it seems like we'd have to find specific enemies or specific missions in which finishers are helpful. That was way better as far as a fight. A much smaller, weaker force. Perhaps your actions here have saved the lives of innocent Empire citizens. Townsfolk run out to greet you, cheering. They provide you with what they can as gratitude for saving the village from the terrible northern peril. The people disperse to gather what they can before abandoning the village. So that did save a village, and it seems like there is only one village here, which does make it just feel like there is probably multiple instances of this. You reach the ruins of an ancient fortress that lies on the natural border between the majestic plains and the broken fist forest, advanced into the woodlands. You travel long into the night and set out again with the dawn to keep ahead of the approaching army. Now what will be interesting to find here is if everything just resets. And it seems like it does. So each of these hordes are going to move one step each time, I imagine. And you have a choice here of going north or south, and we're not sure which way on the left would be the exit. Let's go south. On the edge of the Empire, you're far from the capital, sits a lonely watchtower. You approach with caution, knowing that few travelers are allowed near. Let's see. We don't have any gold, so we'll try and sneak past the tower. We keep taking these events cards like the watchtower, and then we have just horrible luck in having gold when you need gold, or food when you need food. Struck by a volley of arrows. See, that would have been very helpful as a card. I see a peaceful village off the main trail. The town It's quiet as you walk past with mothers hushing your children. Blah blah blah. Blah blah blah. This is the same thing we've already done with the throw a stone at a raven, and if it dice roll wins, you'll... Oh man. I think this probably highlights how 4 should be re-rolled. And if I'd only re-rolled 1 4 and gotten a 6, I would have won there. Let's see what selling an equipment piece here would be. 50 for the shield versus buying something. Defeat 12 mages. We haven't even really fought mages. Map reveals, not really needed in this. That's not really needed. Width of the beam of light is increased with precision gambit. So I kind of don't think I want to buy anything here. Let's see what this is. The path leads to a remote Empire fort overlooking a well-worn road. Inspect the fort. We're doing a lot more dice rolls than I thought we would in this event. And I feel like if I had succeeded on at least one of these Empire forts, that would have done something for me.
Deal with them if you will. I would rather leave them be.
This is the event where you basically just are going to tap Y and then tap left trigger a whole bunch to do finishers on them, because that's the only way to start, is you take some damage and then it's just tapping the left trigger. The only difference maybe it would have been to press B at the very beginning and have them fall down that way. I think we've refused to deal with them before. So we'll give them something. Let's give them a golden shield, I guess. Extra max life and 2 fame, and yet that was not the thing that they wanted to give the reward for. And I really have no idea what the thing is. That is a lot of enemies again, and now we have no shield, so maybe we will die. And I'm in a weird position here where I just don't know if I really want to try a second time. Those shaman first. A lot of these A things feel like they are opportunities in which you could reposit, but they also feel like they are just easier to get past by simply attacking. And while this seems to do some kind of fire damage.
We fight.
Oh, I guess I revived my guy. I didn't know I could do that. It doesn't seem like it does a consistent burning damage when you fight enemies with the Scorching Blade. It just seems like it does a lot of damage on the first hit. Far too often in these missions we're gaining fame for no reason. Let's see. And so it kind of feels like the strategy here is definitely to let the horde be on top of the village first, then attack the village. Okay. I should have known that that was where the exit was. So we'll visit the village again. We'll see if we can win the dice roll.
Games within games within games.
All I have to do is not roll a 1. Okay. Raven flies south. Is time to leave. The mystic declares the gods have spoken. The village has been saved. You gain 2 fame. We'll attempt to avoid them. Okay. I have no way of attempting to avoid them though. I could land here, and that does nothing. So we're gonna have to fight one group to get to the border. Or we could just wait and set camp up, which also wouldn't do us any good. I think attempt to avoid them would just have us moving back into the spot we start from. So we've seen now 2 missions that are fairly built around the idea of fighting a lot of northerners. I think these shaman in particular are too strong. They're giving like massive defense upgrades. I'm at like 9 health now. So we die.
You should focus more on defense than offense, I think. The opportunity to strike back will always present itself.
So supplies have been added too. We now have a crossbow, which seems very late in the game to get a crossbow weapon.
Blood stains the
we
snow,
failed.
but you must focus
Otherwise.
on those who remain.
So the danger here certainly is that you would just struggle with this one, struggle with this one, struggle with this one, and that's really only going to give me death and temperance. And if I struggle with those 2, then I would just never really be able to unlock any of these others. I only have a tiny bit of hope that I could maybe do the Empire, the Emperor, or the Hierophant. Maybe I could do the High Priestess. Okay, so what are we seeing? We're seeing a bunch of dice rolls. Well, what we should do first is let's just do recommended. Clear and field. Let's see what the recommendation here is. They're saying to do decoy and recharge bomb with Hubie. Interesting. I disagree, though. I think we'd go with the Wanderer. As far as encounters go, they're saying do Gnomish Exchange, Lost Boy, Black Market, this one, I think what we would probably want to do is eliminate, let's say that one, and let's go with that one. And then what was Colborn's? I have a card there. Faction equipment. So I'm just kind of making slight changes here, trying to figure out what would be cards that might give us a shard instead. Effectively, these cards at the end have become retired. There's very little reason why you would want to play them, with maybe the exception of the one at the very end here, which is Waterfall of Youth, which you would want to use with the Old Maiden card. But I'm gonna try and win here, so I'm not gonna take those two cards, since that would take up 2 spots. So they've chosen this one, a heavy damage weapon. I don't think that's a good move, because I don't think we're going to fight that. An elusive charm may not be a terrible thought. I don't see reason to take that. After completing a brimstone encounter, draw a card. I don't think we'd be doing any brimstone encounters. Golden Shield is apparently just now upgraded, which makes me wonder if all of the items can't just be upgraded over and over again. Deal 100 damage to a random enemy thief when activated. Yeah, so those aren't super useful cards for what we're going for. Thieves. Empire. We definitely want that. This is mages. We want that. We still have not done much with that shield. A lot of these would really only work in very specific missions. Unless we get a mission at some point that unlocks something else. Or just unlocks like random things. So that may be the case at some point, is that we will just get an item. I wonder if we can upgrade cards to the point where they'd all become platinum. Now that would be an interesting thought, is that throughout a heck of a lot of gameplay, you eventually would just have platinum versions of every card. So what are they having us start with? Crossbow, we have no idea what that would do. Leather armor, which sounds like a good move. And the merchant's ring, which doesn't feel as useful. It's probably not really necessary to have like face path. That could be helpful in other situations. Okay, if we're using a weapon as a crossbow, if we're going to use a crossbow, then the merchant's ring might be our best move. I kind of feel like a better move would probably be just extra gold or extra food. I don't think you need food in this case. It's either going to be gold or max life, and 5 max life doesn't seem like much. Okay, so yeah, we've set ourselves up nicely for the next recording. That's going to be it for this one, though. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and keep on watching. Thanks.